I'm going to tell you guys a story, and I want to hear if this is a real world story you guys can also relate to. In my living room at home, we like to spend time in the evenings watching films or playing games, and we like having a duller light to do that. We like our light bulb, our old light bulb, because we'd had it for about 5 years and it had got a bit dim, but that meant that we had this nice atmosphere when spending time in the evening. Unfortunately, like things do, it broke, the light bulb stopped working, we had to get a new one. So we bought a new light bulb, but this light bulb, the new one, was really bright. It was a very, very bright light bulb. This meant that in the evenings it didn't feel right. And what would have been really ideal in this situation would have been having a dimmer switch. Now, you're wondering, how am I going to tie this back to photography? I am, because today we're going to be talking about a variable ND filter. You see, videographers have to fight this, the sun. Now, as a photographer, I love the sun. It gives you such great lighting when you're out. You can take pictures of things that have as much lighting as you want, have your shutter speed as high as you want. It's ideal. When videoing, however, you're restricted to using a certain shutter speed, and you want your ISO to be low. So if there's a ton of sun, like today, you end up having to up your aperture. And we don't want to do that because we love the blurry background. We want that cinematic footage. An ND filter is essentially sunglasses, but for a camera. On here I have my Canon 50mm 1.8 lens. This means it lets in a ton of light, and it's really good for doing low light photography and videography. But on a sunny day like today, if I have the low aperture to get that blurry background, it's just going to be blown out. It's going to be completely white, and I will show you examples of this later on in the video. Now, the ND filter we are going to be looking at today was sent to me by a company called Neewer. I think I'm saying that right. And they sent this to me to take a look out, to give it a test. So thank you so much for sending it to me. I also want you to know that everything I say in this video are my own words. I haven't been told to say anything. I'm taking it out and giving it a test. That is all. It's also something which I'm sure will go in my camera bag and continue to serve making content on this channel for a while. This is Neewer's ND variable filter. So I opened up the packaging this morning, and I actually haven't put this on my camera yet. So I'm super excited to take a look at how it works. So here we have the glass element itself. And just by looking at it, I can see how it changes color. Look at that, it's clear, and then it gets dark. That's so cool, I absolutely love that. Okay, so this one has a 49mm thread, which is gonna go on the end of my nifty 50 here. Obviously, this filter comes in a whole range of threads, so depending on the lens you use the most, you can buy a thread that will fit your camera. For me, the nifty 50 is the lens I use for all my cinematic shots. So if I'm out doing car camping or I want a really beautiful cinematic shot, I'll get this lens out. I think 50mm is a good focal length for filming. It doesn't distort the image too much, which is perfect. So I've put this on the end now, and I can see that I've actually protected my lens as well. So I've added a layer of protection, another layer of glass in front of my lens. And I'm a huge fan of clear filters or ND filters that are going to protect your lens, because I think if we protect what we've got, it just saves us having to buy more equipment when we get it scratched or broken. So now that that's on the end, it gives me the ability to adjust how much light I let into my camera without having to do anything to the camera settings. It has this little dial here, which I can spin up and down, and on the edge here, there's a number 1, there's a number 2, there's a number 3, 4, and 5. I'm guessing that allows me to see how many f-stops I'm taking off the camera, and so that means that I know roughly what the filter is going to be the equivalent of in the settings. The other thing that's interesting is this handle spins, so it's on a little screw, and this means if I was to put it on the mode 3, if I was to put it on a density of 3, I could then screw in this handle, and that's going to lock it in place. That means that that filter is now going to stay on 3. I'm not going to accidentally knock it and change the exposure, which is a handy feature I didn't know it would have. Now, on a day like today, if I was filming, I would be filming at 25 frames per second, meaning I'd want my shutter speed to be 50 on my camera. So I'm just going to get those settings ready here. So my shutter speed is 50, my aperture is 1.8, and my ISO is going to go down to 100. Now, with my filter on mode 1, I hope you can see this. If I press record, everything is just white. I see pure whiteness no matter where I point the camera. That's because so much light is getting into the camera right now. This is where it's going to get cool. I'm now going to add a bunch of shade from the filter. Hopefully, the landscape will appear. That's actually incredible. Okay, so now we can see the beach in front of me. We can see some rocks in the distance. That is the most shaded it can be, and yet we can actually see the world. That's crazy. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still overblown. The sky is still white. So I'm gonna have to up my f-stop just a little bit. So with my f-stop up to about 3.5 now, we're starting to get an image that we can work with. But that means that we now have footage which has a 3.5 aperture, so we can have that blurry background if I was vlogging or filming myself, even though it's a super bright, sunny day. And we get all of that in a super compact package that looks neat, that's easy to use, that you can screw the adjuster down so it's nice and clean and it's not going to start changing aperture. I think it's a super neat little thing to have. And as I say, as a videographer who goes out all the time, who does a lot of outdoor filming where you can't control the light, you are subject to what the light is outside. You have to make do with a forest being dark and a beach being bright. This lens gives me a little bit more control, almost like I'm in a studio. And it's super exciting. I do a bunch of traveling and outdoorsy content, especially in the summer when it's sunny. And last summer I had a bit of a struggle trying to film alongside the sun because I really wanted that blurry background, but I could never get it because the lens wouldn't allow me to. With this filter, the lens should allow me to get blurry backgrounds, meaning the footage can look nicer, and it's a super easy way for me to do it without having to play around with the settings. I simply adjust the filter. I'm also protecting the end of my lens, and it's super cool. I love the fact you can change the dial and you get to see the darkness change. And it just blows my mind. I don't know how they do it. If you know how that works in the comments, please let me know. So the links to this product will be in the description down below. And I'm gonna now play a bunch of example shots where I'm taking pictures with the filter and without the filter. I'll show clips of when I'm filming with the filter and without the filter. And so yeah, for the last kind of 30 seconds of this video, you're gonna see a bunch of examples where I show you what it looks like in the real world out here on the beach. And can we just say, beautiful day, considering it's the 2nd of March today. Like, we've only just broken out of winter, and it's an absolutely gorgeous day. It's warm, it's sunny, the waves aren't too crazy. If I had more time, I'd be in the sea. But yeah, enjoy these comparisons. I hope this video helped. And don't forget to check the links in the description and check out my Instagram, tobywood.yt.